Whoa, what's with this fit? No, it's excellent. Where did you get, you'll let me know? You'll text me? Okay. What's up, guys? I'm Andy, and I know there's probably some confusion. What is this? What is this Hispanic, Venezuelan-looking transgender logic that I'm looking at? That's me. Hi, and I'm stepping in for Tori, the immeasurable, super talented, multifaceted, beautiful Tori Brown. But I will be joining Megan. Me and Dr. Thomas will be talking about the May 6th meeting of City Council. There was a lot, and by a lot, there wasn't that much. But we saved you guys a bunch of time by concising the meeting into just a few minutes. There was musical chairs played with the positions, and the girls are fighting. The girls are fighting is the consensus, and you'll see that later. There's also a couple moments where City Council, how you say, puts more money into the police and not into the fire department. They get pretty creative with how to make more money for their police. But check it out. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment, whether it be love your hair, love Vieira's tie, is Andy wearing pants, whatever. Just get some chatter down there. I'll jump in. If you comment, I'll comment back. Watch out for me. But let's hop right to it and on to the episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Tampa City Council Watch. If this is your first time joining us, welcome for the first time. My name is Megan, she, her, hers, with Tampa Bay Activist Network. So glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm Andy, they, them, and I'm with People's Safety Coalition. And if you're joining us for the first time, I want to encourage you to take some time to review our prior episodes. People like you make this show worth it, and there's no better way to be involved than to be informed. You know how it goes. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll always be in the know, you know?
We also encourage you to comment. You know, you don't have to like everything we say to engage, as long as you don't reinforce oppression. We will have an engaging dialogue with you. And this is your city, so the issues we face matter, no matter how big or small they may seem.
Yeah, so let's dive into the May 6th City Council meeting. There was a changing of hands, so to speak, in the City Council. We have a chair who oversees the council meetings and is responsible for calling items to vote, conducting meetings, and making sure things go according to plan. Councilmember Guido Maniscalco was the individual holding this role throughout these unprecedented times. Now, as the pandemic is slowly but surely easing up, it's time for the roles to change. A chair pro tem will also be elected, as well as the chair and vice chair for the CRA. Let's see how that played out.
Nominations are now in order for chairman.
Ms. Shirley, I nominate Orlando Goods as chair of Tampa City Council.
All in favor, Mr. Goods, please raise your hand. Okay, congratulations.
Wow, so I guess it was no contest. Councilmember Orlando Goods was nominated by Citro and unanimously awarded the title of City Council Chair. Councilmember Goods serves over District 5, which largely includes East Tampa. As you know, on this show, we focus on East Tampa with extreme interest. So, Councilmember, if you thought we were watching before, know that with you as chair, we're going to be watching even closer.
Would you like to say a few words?
Well, yes, Ms. Fox knows what was expecting this. I lead every day, so being the chairman is not a big deal to me, I'll be honest with you, but I'm glad that my colleagues found it. They like me to try to keep the momentum going, like my good friend Mr. Guido Maniscalco. He's done a great job this past year doing the COVID. He showed great leadership to this council, and I just want to make sure we continue to do that.
Got to love all this love fest. Must be nice, truly. The love and unity. However, did not carry on quite the same way for the other roles. The next nomination was for the role of Chair Pro Tem. Councilmember Dingfelder was nominated first, and then Councilmember Vieira decided to nominate Citro. Let's see how they voted for Dingfelder.
For Dingfelder, Vieira?
No, respectfully to my friend, no.
Wow, so Councilmember Vieira actually voted no. Respectfully, he says. That's really interesting. I mean, so far, Vieira and Citro have seemingly had this alliance on most issues, so it wasn't terribly surprising that Vieira jumped in for Citro. After all, it's easier to lick Tampa Police Department's boot in pairs than it is to do it alone. And the two of them make excellent boot shiners. I wonder, though, what it ultimately was about Councilmember Dingfelder that Vieira was against.
Not sure. But nonetheless, Dingfelder prevailed and was elected chair pro tem. with only Vieira dissenting. So therefore, Citro's nomination did not matter. Citro doesn't deserve the position anyway, from ignoring the people and refusing to meet with the People Safety Coalition until after the budget was approved, from supporting the climate justice initiatives to taking it back, only to then come back on board again. On top of all the pro-police and pro-criminal justice system donations he's received during his candidacy, I think it's obvious Citro is not someone for the people, so why give him a sliver of more power or legitimacy?
I mean, even Citro voted in favor of Dingfelder. It's such a strange moment, really. Anyway, the Community Redevelopment Areas, or CRAs, also have a chair and vice chair. Councilmember Miranda nominated Citro for this role. This time, there was even more dissent, with both Councilmember Maniscalco and Councilmember Dingfelder voting against his nomination. However, the majority rules, and ultimately Citro was given the position. I'm not very optimistic about Citro in the role of CRA chair, to be honest, because he's really not shown much care about the people of Tampa, but most especially East Tampa.
Right. Let's not forget that aside from being an absolute police apologist, he also supported in favor of a liquor store on Broadway Ave in East Tampa, even after an impassioned speech from both Goods and Dingfelder as to why this was a bad move. Citro himself even acknowledged some of the harm caused by those liquor stores, but still voted in favor of it. What business does he have running the CRAs if this is how he plans to navigate the subject of development?
Carlson was nominated for the role of CRA vice chair, and there was no dissent for that. So, to recap, our new city council chair is Orlando Goods, the chair pro tem is John Dingfelder, the CRA chair is Joseph Citro, and the CRA vice chair is Bill Carlson. Love it or hate it, I guess it is what it is. Leave us a note in the comments and tell us your thoughts on each of these new leaders.
All right, there were several public comments that were of interest for sure. One of the hottest topics, so to speak, was item number 8. Item number 8 is regarding some sort of control against developers in South Tampa. During the public comments, a number of South Tampans expressed interest in slowing down or stopping continued development in what they say is particularly overdevelopment.
South Tampa is a well-represented area of the city, and while it does have pockets of poverty and marginalization, in general, it is the area of the city that receives the most tender loving and care. Despite this, some of the public commenters actually asked, when will the city think about South Tampa? That gave us a good chuckle for sure. Anyway, item number 8 definitely got a lot of action in the public comments from various residents and neighborhood association leaders.
As a result, the subject matter is going to be revisited in a workshop on June 24th, 2021 at 11:30 a.m. If this is a subject that's important to you, I recommend you research it, discuss with a couple of neighbors, contact your council members if they answer, and be present on June 24th to hear how it turns out.
Right. Now, there was one public comment that I thought was really critical, and I'd like us to take a listen. Miss Connie Burton is a longtime community leader in East Tampa, the area of the city that is truly the most neglected. And she had some comments regarding the changes of leadership. So let's take a listen to that.
It's very troubling to see this morning that even though you've had tremendous amount of workshops talking about the scorecard of Tampa and the way in which we can advance all to move forward, that Councilman Carson, you wasn't able to advance this morning. Councilman Gould received a promotion, but what you received this morning is your body not having confidence. And the reason why the confidence is lacking is because of the avocation of making sure that people in East Tampa is treated fairly and that we are not forgotten. The East Tampa community continue to ask for the very same things over and over, looking for ways in which East Tampa can be brought up to a lifestyle that everyone in East Tampa that want to remain in East Tampa can see value and dignity in their life. We don't see it. 27 schools that's crumbling are failing. Houses that a simple rehab can cure a lot of these issues, and they just keep on getting pushed back because it's not a political favor to make it happen. But we are paying attention, and it is very disappointing to hear former chair talk about how East Tampa is stuck in time, and the moment you can activate it, you won't do it because it's not to your political advantage. We are paying attention. Thank you.
Miss Connie always says what needs to be said, and it's important that we support and uplift her and her work. Thank you, Miss Connie. What council members need to understand is that if we make East Tampa a priority and improve it without displacing the longtime residents, the rest of the city will prosper as well. Revitalization and development can happen with input from the community and without gentrification. So, what Miss Connie says here is we are aware and we are watching. This is a little bit of dialogue between Councilmember Goods and Miss Connie, so let's take a listen to that.
It's troubling when I hear that things are not happening in District 5. I don't believe that's to be true. I believe this council has done a lot of things to move District 5. It might not be to the total liking of some.
Name them.
Oh, it's my time, Ms. Burton.
I know it. Name them.
It's my time, Ms. Burton.
Name them.
It may not be the liking to some, but it is a liking to others. But District 5 has a lot of work to be done. I put together a housing symposium. I've been talking about rehab from day one, trying to make sure that we have a rehab program that's getting ready to be geared up. So the things that you're advocating, Ms. Burton, are being heard. This is government. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes this council gets upset that we want things moving, but it doesn't move fast enough as we want. Sometimes we get frustrated as well. But I want to assure you and everyone in District 5 that this councilman is working every day for District 5. I'm out there every day, and we're going to get things moving along in District 5. So I can give you that commitment today. And I thank you for your time and your comment, but we're going to move, and you have a blessed day, Ms. Burton.
I can't be blessed until our community is blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I felt that dialogue was pretty important. Ultimately, though, we want to know your opinion, especially if you live in District 5. In the comments, let us know your true and honest opinion of Councilmember Goods' performance so far.
So the second half of the meeting was pretty boring, and instead of you having to watch it, we're going to give you a quick Sparks Notes version of items 9 through 16. Some of them are slightly more important than the others, as you'll see.
Item 9 was approving the donation of a very fancy disinfectant for Tampa Fire and Rescue. And item 16 was another donation to Tampa Fire and Rescue of a bunch of grills and other grilling equipment. Not much to talk about there.
And item 14 basically just created a new form that Tampa Fire and Rescue would use if they wanted to use like a structure or a residence for training purposes. Usually these places are abandoned.
Interestingly, item 13 was the approval of funding for a new position in the fire department. This position is called the Quality Improvement Assistant Officer. The description says that the person holding this position would be responsible for quality control assessment and improvement activities for the services provided by Tampa Fire and Rescue. I wonder if TPD has a similar position. If they don't, they should get one. And if they do, they must be very busy.
The contrast between the fire department related items and the TPD related items couldn't be more stark. Items 10 through 12 were all related to TPD. Some of them were small, like approving the donation of a canine to an officer, or a $5,000 transfer from TPD's general fund to their pension fund. However, item 10 was the adoption of a new canine named Jaeger, which literally means hunter in German, by the way. I want to mention that canines really only serve for two reasons. One, to attack, which we know historically officers have abused this command. And two, as drug hunting animals, which is only the police's way of funding themselves and continuing the cycle of systemic racism and recidivism.
Recidivism? You mean reconviction, rearrest, or just returning to prison in general?
Right. This is a concept that is hand in hand with disenfranchisement and the school to prison pipeline. But that could be a whole topic in itself to dive into. Honestly, the canine was minor in comparison to line item 12, which was TPD purchasing $178,709 worth of ammunition.
This order made us a little nervous considering the anti-riot bill that Florida Governor DeSantis recently signed into law. Obviously, police aren't going to restock on the ammunition. However, it's still discouraging to see meeting after meeting that members of City Council unanimously approve funding the police without any doubts or questions.
Right, and it looks like they keep getting creative on other ways to get funding. Item 74 was a report that was requested at an earlier meeting by City Council to explore the possibility of implementing a public safety impact fee. These are fees that are basically something that would be imposed on new construction and would go to fund TPD, and Tampa Fire and Rescue. City Council ordered their staff to look into this and see if they can do this, and if so, how would they go about it?
The staff found that yes, the city can do this. It's done in many other parts of Florida like Orlando and Dade County. It's actually currently done by Hillsborough County, not the city of Tampa, in unincorporated parts of the county.
The main thing that just needs to be followed is that there must be a rational nexus between the money generated from these fees and what it is being spent on.
Interestingly, Florida law states that this money can be challenged, and City Council would have to provide evidence that they're maintaining these rational nexus and meeting the requirements.
And money generated by these fees cannot be spent on previously approved projects or debts unless a rational nexus is established.
Right. Well, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please share this video and subscribe to our channel if you're not already. My name is Megan, she, her, hers, with Tampa Bay Activist Network, and I'll see you next time.
And I'm Andy, they, them. See you next time.
All right, good afternoon. We are back at it again with another Frontline Activist message. It's so great to have you all. And remember to watch City Council Watch if you have not already watched. We watch so you don't have to. All right, so again, this Frontline Activist message is going to be on episode number 9. Yes, we're 9 episodes in. My name is Katie, and I'm your host for this episode of Frontline Activist Message.
Hi, my name's Justin Coffey, pronouns he, him, and I'm a community member just ready to be more involved with Frontline Activists.
Hi, Razo Coffey here, concerned citizen, ready to be a part of the movement.
Yes, sir. We love to see it. We'll just go ahead and get right into it. So Goods actually got chair with no contest, and he was acting very modest for some reason, like, oh, the chair doesn't mean anything to me. It was just like, it was really funny. And then Dean Felder got pro temp, which is okay, I guess. We'll see how the new change of power goes ahead. But what really surprised me was how Citro got CRA chair after not listening to the people. How do you think this will impact the CRA going forth with Citro being the chair?
I think it's very concerning with all the calls from the community to have Citro resign or just be replaced. I think that it kind of goes to show that voices are landing on deaf ears. And from what I could tell, these switchings of the seats really seem ceremonial to me because, like you said, it's very interesting to see what these changes will mean as far as like how the city council will function. I don't know if anything really will be different. I sure hope so. And I have, all the hopes that it will be because this is who we're dealing with now. I'm really thinking about ways that maybe we can start pushing other people in the community to run against them and to grab these positions of leadership that we actually have confidence in. I think that will definitely be the move. But for now, this is who we have, and we just have to hold them accountable.
Yeah, I agree with everything my brother said. I mean, as far as Goods taking the chair, the positive that I see, and this is just on paper, is that he was very open to having meetings with his constituents and just the people. So like, hopefully that still maintains to be true. But other than that, it was kind of hilarious just to see how like, humble he was being and just like he barely raised his hand all in favor of voting for himself, which and I have to give it to him on the new look, like the Colonel Goods. He's sporting it pretty nice.
He does look like the KFC dude. But yes, it was really funny. I like how you Justin, how you mentioned just like rallying around our local community to actually push forth people who are going to be good in these positions, because we already seen how other organizations are getting aligned with their ideas and trying to educate people to run for these same positions. So it's only right that we do the same within our community. So going further through the video, we learn about item 8, which is basically to control development, specifically in South Tampa. And there's many constituents from South Tampa asking for more help in South Tampa, although that's one of the most developed portions within the Tampa community. And so a public comment in favor of East Tampa development stated, there's 27 schools is crumbling or failing, housing that a simple rehab can cure a lot of these issues, and they keep getting pushed back because it's not a political favor to make that happen. What do you think about what that constituent said?
So it's a bit difficult for me to comment on this, just because I think that the calls for the development of South Tampa are very real as far as the neglected parts. But like you mentioned, it's way more developed than East Tampa. So it's one of those things where I think, just for what it's worth, the best thing to do is first handle East Tampa, the most neglected, and go from there. Just like with dealing with anything, you focus on the most marginalized so that you can then build up from there. So I think that the comment from the member from East Tampa is relevant. I don't think it's a comment that's meaning to demean or lessen this conversation about developing South Tampa or the areas that need help. I think it's more about, hey, don't forget East Tampa, because East Tampa has always been forgotten.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And there's flat out no excuse for schools to be crumbling, especially here in Florida, where, you know, we have so much money, taxes like crazy, like there's resources there. So that isn't an excuse. And I think one thing that is being underused is that during COVID right now is a crucial time where there's lower capacity of students. If there needs to be construction, you're messing with less students, you know, schedules and stuff like that. Like now would have been a great time to knock out a lot of things. And you can't build up the whole city, moving half of the city forward while the other just stays in shambles. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, you at least try to get the less of interest places to a certain standard, and then from there, now we have a standard. We're not even there yet. We haven't even brought places up to a standard. So there's been a lot of neglect going on.
Thank you, Rosa. I like how you mentioned how, because I didn't even think about that, how like this would be peak time to actually do renovations because there's less students actually inside the school. And that reminds me, like, there's been so many people within the Tampa Bay community actually that has told me how they've been to school where there's no AC or anything like that, and or like they've had books that was falling apart, and like that is just amazing to me, because my school, even though like we weren't the best school, we were fortunate enough to have new books or books that weren't torn or ripped or anything. And we're also fortunate to have AC all year round. So it sucks that that's something that's happening into these schools. And Tampa is such like a thriving city. So I wouldn't expect that there are students in this city that don't have air conditioning or access to quality materials to attend school with. So we continue with items 9 through 16, and we get into the realm of government departments such as like fire and rescue, and obviously TPD, the police department, or Tampa Police Department. And we see how fire and rescue asks to use abandoned facilities for training, and then they also asking to add a quality assurance position. Yet TPD are asking to be granted more K-9s and then more funding, more money added to their pension fund, and then the main acts, which was more ammunition. How do you feel about the differences between the requests between fire and rescue and then the police department?
I feel like it speaks for itself in a lot of ways. I feel like this has been consistent. You know, you have other occupations in the line of service that seem to value what that means. And so they're focused on, as you've just mentioned with the fire department, quality, as opposed to the police department asking for ammunition. I think that it just really speaks for itself as far as where the value is. Instead of it being in service, it's more, I don't really know what the need for all the ammunition is for. And it could just be based on my ignorance, but I think that I would at least like to see quality emphasized also in TPD.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And also, I think it just speaks to how TPD is just kind of sending a message to the community where it's all like, we won't be defunded. We're going to make sure that we get our spending in wherever we can fit it in, you know? So it's like, even if they just got a dog yesterday, they're just going to be all like, we can use another one, you know, like he needs a friend. So it's like, I think that's where their focus is basically at, is just any way they can send a message that we're still here and we're re-upping. It's like they've got to do it. The fire department, of course, they're actually operating how they should. They're looking at things to better themselves and also to help the community. At least on paper, that's what it's looking like. Like they're focusing on control, they're focusing on accountability, and it's all like, how much accountability do we even need for just, you know, a house being on fire? You know, like it's crazy. Like they're taking it very serious, and that's things that we appreciate. And it's just like we would like to see that level matched by their counterparts.
Okay, so I definitely agree that I think it's just a statement being made in a way. I think something that kind of speaks to it is what we've been calling for in the community for a mental health program that I'm unsure of whether or not the pilot is really taken off. But recently on May 13th, marked the 100 days of St. Pete's pilot program, their mental health service response team, where they're sending social workers in place of police officers for certain calls. And they've deemed that a success. So I say all that to say that when we had discussions about where the funding would come from to start our own program here in Tampa, it was quiet, it was crickets. Whose money are we going to use? But there's so much money for ammunition and so much for canines. I think that it just really sends a message on what they're prioritizing and what that means. I definitely think it's kind of like a power statement.
I agree. There's three things. So the first thing, I would feel kind of, I would say slighted, and if I was working within the realm of fire and rescue, because I feel like there's been a history of the fire, like the fire department getting less funds than the police department. And as a department that actually protects and serves like it's supposed to not receive funding, but to have a department that constantly oppresses others, whether you feel like they oppress or not, the stark difference between how much money they receive is just crazy to me, because I feel like even if like you are in favor of the police department, whatever, I feel like you should also be in favor of the departments being funded equally. And then the second point was Rozelle actually mentioned, and I didn't even think about this. Like, I personally wasn't privy to city council. I know of city council, but I wasn't privy to their meetings. And then, so I don't know how much TPD asks for money. Like, I don't know if this is like a new thing or this is a thing that always happens, but damn, like that was really crazy, because I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it, like ever since we have called for defunding the police, there has just been a streamline of money just constantly going. I feel like if not every city council meeting, like every other city council meeting, I feel like TPD is constantly getting money. And it's just like when you think about it in hindsight, it's like, wow, like it's been almost a year, and like I don't remember at any time that they've been denied funds. And it's just crazy, because like I agree with Justin said, like, where is this money coming from? Because a year ago or 9 months ago, there was no money, or we're trying to pick and choose where funds are. Also, I wanted to say thank you for bringing up that point about what's happening in St. Pete, because when we mentioned this to Goose was like, oh, I'm all for it, but I don't want to be the first. I don't want to be the forerunner. I want to see it in action in other places, but it's like now it's in action and it's doing well. So what are you going to do? It's like now we put the ball back into your part, because you said, let me just take a step back. Let me just look at other places before I apply it to Tampa, but it's already working for other places. So now apply to Tampa, because that's what you said. And so like, I'm definitely in favor of meeting with whoever needs to be met with, but I'm not in favor of to complain about the same issues. That's not going to be listened to. Like, I don't care about you having a meeting with me if you're not going to actually try to reach a common ground and implement change. What's the point of meeting with you if you're just going to listen to what I say and then do whatever you want to do?
I agree with that 100%. I think that's a great point that you brought up, how Goods kind of tells you what he's going to be receptive to. And I think it's up to us it's up to the people to hold him accountable whenever he does that, because he's basically giving you the game plan right there. He's like, look, let's see what they do first. And if it's something, with information behind it and facts based, then, I can't deny the facts. So if that's the case, and we know that they're running on 100 days of success, it has to be brought to this table, as soon as tomorrow. So it's like, I think that's the way to really, utilize at least the councilmen in Tampa. Like, that's how they operate. So it's like, that's the game plan.
I agree. It's crazy how he says, like, bring the facts. It's like, which facts are you looking at? Because I feel like there's always been facts. But anyway, so follow with that question, with the history of oppression by TPD, which is the Tampa Police Department, and the Tampa community, along with the introduction of the anti-riot bill, how do you feel about the ammunition request being granted without any questions? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, sheesh. I think it was a clear statement on where TPD stands. And we did hear back from our state attorney, Andrew Warren, on his kind of stance about the anti-riot bill. And he kind of tried to reassure the people that there wouldn't be really any huge foreseeable changes with peaceful protests. But, that's kind of just taking his word for that. So we still have yet to see how they're going to implement anything with these new changes. And by buying new ammunition, it's kind of just all like, it doesn't seem that reassuring anymore. We're waiting and seeing right now. We're waiting and seeing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I think that to be apprehensive makes total sense because they're gathering canines and ammo. And everyone really around this bill has been saying, oh, it's no real change. There's no significant change. Well, what's the idea behind drafting the bill in the first place? It kind of just seems dishonest in a way or not transparent enough with something so important when we're talking about rights that are protected under the First Amendment. So like my brother said, we'll just have to wait and see.
Agree. Well, I thank you both for your opinions and your thought processes. Is there anything that you guys would like to say before we close out? Any last comments?
I would like to give a shout out to Miss Connie. I think that her statements at the last city council meeting were very powerful. She definitely puts on for East Tampa, and just as a community member in general, she makes sure that her voice is heard as well as the community that she represents. So just a big shout out to her. And also, I just want to reiterate that we should really start thinking about what the game plan is from here on out, as far as finding a person or people to go ahead and push forward to find some leadership positions so that we can have true confidence in the change that can be brought in the future. So that's really my 2 cents there.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I just want to say thank you, Katie. Great job on the moderation. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, everyone with Tampa Bay Activist Network, People Safety Coalition, just setting everything up and just keeping people informed, because that's a great way to be active. Just staying informed in general is a great way to be active. You don't have to be on the streets. You don't have to be on the front line, but being informed is being equipped. That's just a great way to just have the community ready at all times. They're not going to have things come at them blindsided. So just stay informed and just stay ready.
I love that. I think that's a great quote to actually end off of. Being informed is being equipped. Rozelle's dropping jewels, y'all. Jewels. Being informed is being equipped. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to Tampa Bay Activist Network. Continue to watch City Council Watch, and don't forget to watch Frontline Activist Message as well. Please let us know your feedback. We do this just for you. If you are interested in being part of this work or on this panel, you can contact the People Safety Coalition or Tampa Bay Activist Network directly via IG. That's Instagram at Tampa Bay Activist Network. That's TampaBayActivistNetwork, or by email at TampaBayActivistNetwork@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, hear your thoughts, and everything of that nature. Thank you for your time. This is all that we have for this episode of Frontline Activist Message. See you on the next one. Peace out. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.